Welcome to Inkquiring Minds. My name is Doug and I'm back with another Pen Resurrection Sunday video. Today's pen back from the dead and ready for resurrection is this 1930s to 1940s Waterman Junior fountain pen in green pearl celluloid. It's a lever filler. It was made in Canada and is a nice example of early 40s Waterman's celluloid fountain pen. This is a fairly small pen, measuring in at 4 3/4 inches capped, and it was made in Canada. It says Waterman's, made in Canada with the Ideal logo right there in the center. This pen was made in Saint-Lambert, Quebec, and is marked Junior. There are no other markings on this pen. And this is what Google has to say about the Waterman Junior. The Waterman Junior is a specific model of fountain pen, most commonly identified as a lever fill pen manufactured in Canada during the 1930s and 1940s. These pens were part of the Ideal series, which were known for being a durable entry-level option and were sometimes used to bypass tariffs in export markets like the UK. They are recognized by features such as their small size, Junior in the designation on the barrel, and a nib and lever filling system. Well, let's take a look at this Waterman's Junior and see what it needs for resurrection. It has dome-shaped top and bottom finials. It has an Art Deco-shaped trapezoid ball clip with Waterman's stamped down the center. It's in this marvelous green and black pearl celluloid material. Has a single cap band. The cap and the clip band show a lot of wear. We'll see how well that chrome finish polishes up. I expect that's a chrome band right there as well. And there's the imprint, very deep imprint here, and the box lever. Lots of wear and scratches all over this pen, but no deep gouges that I can see that require any filling. Oh, and it does have Waterman's. I searched this and I couldn't find it. Here it is on my camera. Usually these Canadian Watermans have Waterman's made in Canada stamped into the cap as well. Let's take off the cap. It unscrews with one turn, and there's the ebonite section, and there's the number 2 size Waterman's 14CT W-2A gold nib and a black ebonite feed. That tip looks to be in pretty good shape, and I played with it a bit on my thumbnail, and it looks like it's got a good amount of bounce to it as well. Now the section came right out of this one with no worries whatsoever, and it has a very nice pliable latex sack installed, and that's relatively recent, and it looks like it's in good shape. But I do want to take that nib and feed out of there to polish it up and clean it out and polish up that section as well. So we're going to peel this latex sack off. We might be able to reuse it. I'm going to test fill it to make sure there are no pinhole leaks in it, and if it's reusable, we will do that. And there's the lever working on the inside of the pen. So all in good shape. So all of these parts are going to go into the pen flush ultrasonic bath. My pen flush is homemade, and I make it out of 9 parts distilled water and 1 part ammonia, and put that in my ultrasonic machine and drop these parts in it and give it just a couple to 3 minutes of an agitating soak to get all the old dried up ink out of these parts. And then we'll come back, see about taking this sack off of here and keeping it and knocking out that nib and feed. Okay, here we are out of the bath with the section nib and feed and that latex sack. I'm just going to try to peel it back gently with some tweezers to see whether I can preserve as much of that sack as I can. In fact, I think I'm going to give it a little bit of heat just to loosen the shellac it's attached with and see whether I can just slide it off. Now that it's just slightly tacky, I should be able to just peel it off here without ripping it. Well, that came off pretty well, and I think I preserved it pretty well as well. So I'm going to fill this up with some water and see if it leaks. And I'm just going to squeeze on the head, the opening there, like a balloon, and give it a little bit of pressure. And nope, there's no leaks there at all. So now let's put the nib into the block. There we go. Get out the right size rod and tap out that feed. Yeah, really, really easy to tap out. That's why it's good to soak them first. Any old ink will be dissolved because that old ink acts like glue holding those parts together. A little bit of old blue ink there. There's our feed. Looks in really good shape. No nicks or anything. That'll polish up nicely. And the section has no gouges that I can... Oh, wait a minute. Spoke too soon. There's a little bit of a gouge right there. An abrasion anyway. We'll polish that out. And there's our nib. No date codes on it. Lots of wear and abrasion over the years. Some ink staining. And we'll put it on this side and see what it looks like before. And then we'll put it over here after I've polished it up. And the same thing with the section. And the same thing with the feed. And I'm just going to scrape all the old shellac off of this ebonite section here. There wasn't a lot of it, but you can see where someone else has already scratched the ebonite, gouged it to replace a sack here. I'm just going to take that amber brown shellac off of there, and then we'll sand that nipple on the section down so it'll accept the new sack nicely. And here's the nib all shined up and gorgeous, looking very shiny indeed, and it's perfectly aligned. And here's the section, all shiny and clean, and there's the feed, looking beautiful. Look at that. So now I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to reset the nib and feed together in the section. I'm going to put it back in the barrel, and we're going to test right with this before we put the sack back on. So we're going to line up the nib and feed so that they're straight and together. Put some gripper material on it and see if we can press it back into the section. I wiggle around to find the sweet spot where it's lived for many, many years, and this is going in nicely. And let's see if I can get it all the way to the back. There we go. This isn't where it was, but that's where it should be, right at the back of that section. Clean my finger marks off of that beautiful nib, and then just check it out to make sure it's aligned properly. Yep, looks pretty good. So now I'm going to put that back in the barrel, and let's do a test right. So here we go. We're going to put the section back in the barrel. It's a pretty loose fit there, but okay for test writing. When I put the sack back on it and I put it back in the section, I'll shellac that down to keep it from spinning around. So let's just dip it in some Watermans here and see what we have. This is a 1940s Waterman Junior, and the section's moving around in the barrel, so it's making it difficult to write. But I can tell that I've got a very bouncy nib, very nice, and it looks like a fairly medium line. I'll measure that out and find what it is, but it looks like a 0.5 to 0.6 millimeter, and it looks very wet as well. So this is going to be very nice. So I'm going to go ahead and put the sack back on that section, and then we'll go ahead and look at polishing up the barrel, getting all those old scratches and wear out of it, and polishing up the cap and that hardware, and see how it comes up as well. And before we put the sack on the section, let's just inspect this barrel to make sure that that lever works properly. Put the inspection camera down the barrel and give the lever a few pushes. Make sure it's all aligned properly. It looks pretty good. Now let's put our sack on the sack spreader. Probably won't need much spreading since it's already been on this section before. Just want to make sure it's going to fit properly when I shellac it down. Yep, looks like it's going to be tight. That's good. So we get out our shellac pen from the inky nib and paint on some shellac all the way around. Put the sack back on the sack spreader. If you don't have a sack spreader like this, you can use a paper clip. That works. Get it up under the lip and give it a bit of a turn just to make sure that there's a seal there. And then I'm going to just run some shellac over that seam all the way around. We'll put that aside and let that dry while I go after polishing the cap and the barrel. Now with the cap and barrel, I'm going to put some low-tack masking tape around that cap band and then sand the scratches out of the celluloid with some 400 grit sandpaper for wherever there's deep scratches or abrasions, just to get them out. And then I'll run through the micromesh from 1500 to 12,000. Around 4,000, I will take off that masking tape and go at the metal parts with 400 to 12,000. And then I'll finish off the whole cap and barrel with some polishing compound on my buffer wheel. And there's the barrel all polished up and brand new. Isn't that green celluloid gorgeous? I have to polish out that lever a little bit. Still got some polishing compound in it, but that's looking just perfect. So we'll do the same thing with the cap, and you can see the difference between the dull cap and the shiny barrel. And there we are with the cap all polished up as well. How shiny and beautiful that is. Even the cap band came up nice and shiny. That wear on the clip is permanent, I'm afraid, but the pen looks very, very nice. Now all we have to do is put the section back in the pen and check on its capacity and write with it. So here we are, it's the next day. This is completely dried, and we're going to put this section back in the pen, and we're going to fill it up, check its capacity, and do a writing sample. So let's put some talc on that sack first. This will help that latex sack from binding on the inside and twisting. And there, goes into the section nicely. That little bit of shellac is keeping it from moving, but I'm going to add a little bit more just to make it solid so it doesn't twist at all. Now we get out the scale and weigh the pen. It comes out at 8.39. Press tear, and then we're going to fill it up with some Watermans. How appropriate. Push the lever down, dip the pen in the ink, let the lever back up again, and we'll repeat. Still hearing bubbles. Third time's the charm. And put it back. And we're getting almost 1 milliliter of ink, which is about typical. Now let's get out some writing paper again. This is Clairefontaine 90 GSM paper. And let's see whether I can write without obscuring my own writing with the overhead camera. And let's do a proper measurement of these lines. That's no pressure. Add a little bit of pressure here. Get out my pad from Dominant Industries that I got from Tom Odo of Gold Spot Pens. Thank you, Tom. And we'll measure this line. I blotted that line a bit. It was still wet. So here we have about 0.4, and the normal vertical line is 0.5. It's hard to tell with my blurry line here, but I think that's about 0.9. So I said the horizontal line was 0.4. The vertical line with no pressure was 0.5. And the thickest line I'm getting here is about 0.9 millimeters. And it's very, very juicy. Look at that. Beautiful, juicy nib. It's not what you'd call a flex nib, but it is very bouncy. And it gives your writing a lot of flair. And so I think that's pretty good. Let's seal that section in the barrel. Now, this is full of ink, so I have to be very careful when I pull it out that I don't push on that latex sack, or I'll get ink all over myself. Take it very carefully. And I'm just going to add a little bit of shellac around that part of the section. And we put the lever up, and we push the section in, and just wipe off any excess shellac. Just check off slightly, just slightly. There, lined it up, and we're good to go. And I'll be right back with my thoughts about this pen resurrection. So what are my thoughts about this pen resurrection? Well, I'm really pleased with this lovely little green celluloid pen. The only real visible signs of age now is on the clip, where that chrome cap has been slightly corroded over the years. So some of that plating has come off, but the cap band came up beautifully, and that nib is the nicest part of this resurrection. It was in pretty good shape to begin with, needed a little bit of polish. Same thing with that very shiny ebonite feed. The section is really nice and shiny, and all of the scratches and dings of many years of use are now gone. As I said, it's a small pen. It's 120 millimeters long when it's capped, 145 millimeters long when it's posted, and it's 10 millimeters thick at the barrel. Let's compare it to a Parker Vacuumatic from 1945. You can see it's significantly shorter than the Parker Vacuumatic when it's capped, but almost the same size when they're posted. So in the hand posted, it's plenty long enough to write with comfortably. And I'm very pleased with how pearlescent that green celluloid has come up. Beautiful. So if you're interested in this pen, I'm selling it for $80 US plus shipping. And all you have to do is just email me at inkquiringminds@gmail.com with your name and your address so I can get you a shipping quote. This pen was made in Canada by a US company, but it doesn't matter. It's from Canada, so it will be subject to 35% tariff if you're living in the United States. And there you have it. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, and don't forget to ring that bell to get instant notifications whenever a new video is posted. And you can join as a member of my channel as well for only 99 cents a month, and I guarantee I'll answer your comments in the comment section, and you'll get cool emojis, badges, sneak peek unboxing videos, as well as instant access to my videos the moment I post them. And that just leaves it for me to say, thank you. Watching. And that's all she wrote.
I made this.